Hello folks, I hope that you're having just a great and safe day today. Today I want to take a look at my favorite Ursula K. LeGuin novel in her either science fiction or fantasy. It's called Lathe of Heaven. So I want to talk to you about it today, give you my review of it, a synopsis of it, and then my review thereof. It has been turned into a TV movie twice for PBS stations, once in the 1980 and once again in the early 2000s for online for a cable station. I think you can find it online now if you want to stream it for A&E, if I remember correctly. So we'll take a look at The Lathe of Heaven, talk a little bit about why it's my favorite Ursula K. Le Guin story, and so forth. Now, The Lathe of Heaven is a shorter novel than a lot of novels, even novels by her. I clocks in this copy of it, and this is an oversized copy, obviously, is 180 some pages, 184 pages long. It does not take that long. It can take you 3 or 4 hours to knock it out the first time. And then when you go back and read it the second time, it'll probably be taking more like 2.5 or 3. I just finished it for the second time this week, and I really do like it a lot. So I thought I'd review it for you. I think it's time. I've done one Ursula K. Le Guin story for you, and that's the novel, The Left Hand of Darkness. I'll give you a link to that review below in case you want to check that out after I've done The Lathe of Heaven. But let's go ahead and get started with The Lathe of Heaven. So The Lathe of Heaven is a science fiction novel. It starts out being a science fiction dystopian, but due to the nature of the story, it changes genres multiple times before it's over with, and it'll still say science fiction, but it'll change its subgenre multiple times before it's done. But the central core concept of the novel is that your main character, George Orr, has discovered that he has the power of his dreams becoming reality. And I don't mean that figuratively, like your dreams help to empower you, your dreams help to make you better, stronger person. I don't mean that poetically. I mean that in George Orr's case, literally. What he dreams will literally happen. He'll change reality to suit his dreams. And then in the first chapter, he will, which is like 3 pages long, it's almost more like a preamble, he will read and come across some drugs, and you'll come across it as you read the first few pages. And he gets in trouble because he's overdosed on drugs he's not supposed to be taking. And so for that reason, he's being forced to go into some medicine. And so he's forced to see a doctor, a psychologist, a doctor that he will be going with, is Dr. Haber. It could be pronounced Aber or Herber or something like that, or Herber. It's Haber. It's I know that we had I know that sometimes I've known a basketball player whose name was that, and it was pronounced Herber with the silent H, or just Haber. I'm not sure how you would pronounce it. I'm pronouncing it Haber for purposes of this video in my head as I read it, because that's how it's spelled phonetically, but who knows how it was actually pronounced. Anyway, Dr. Haber is a psychologist. He is working on dream stuff. He's a specialist in dreams and what he will do is at the end of the second chapter, he will put this guy George into a state of hypnosis in his room, and he will realize that he is correct. That his dreaming is actually happening, but he won't tell them that. And what he'll do is he will begin to influence him to have the dreams that he wants him to have. So you have his psychologist, Dr. Haber, who is manipulating him without telling him, and then while leaving him thinking that he's just crazy or that nobody else believes him. And then you have him as his dreams that are changing the world. And that's the story. Now, it starts out as a sort of dystopian future where overpopulation has hit the world badly, and there's a lot of interesting things that happen. There's also love interest. Heather, who is Lalash, who is introduced in chapter 5, if I remember correctly, as a lawyer he goes to. So that'll be one of the main love interests in the book. Those 3 will each have various times when they're the point of view character, and you'll see George interact from the eyes of Heather and from the eyes of Herber or Haber, Dr. Haber. So you'll see him kind of through both of their lenses, and vice versa. You'll see Dr. Haber and Heather through the eyes of George, and so forth. So you'll get a chance to kind of see them together There are several chapters that are written from Dr. Haber's point of view. There are several chapters written from Heather's point of view, and so forth. So you get that idea. So there are 11 chapters total in the story. Again, it's not long. It'll take you a short period of time to write it. I do enjoy the central sort of idea of what it's like to change reality with your dreaming. I do like that. The core idea is resonant. The way that she explores it's very resonant. Any Ursula K. LeGuin story, whether it's a science fiction or fantasy, is going to have her deal with philosophical things. This is rich with philosophical ideas, disagreements, very, very rich stuff. And as you would expect if you've read anything else by her, whether it's the Earthsea series, the Wizard of Earthsea, and the rest of that series, or whether it's you know, the one that I've already reviewed for you, The Left Hand of Darkness. But this novel is very, very good at exploring these sorts of philosophical ideas on underpinnings, the conversations that they have, the arguments that they'll have, the things that's going to happen. It's very, very good. And the story is incredibly well done. Obviously, as you can tell from the first part, the world is going to change multiple times throughout the story because the key idea is that he's changing the world, right? So the world will change multiple times. Ursula K. Le Guin does a very good job of kind of explaining the world in different ways. And George is a very cool point of view character because he remembers the old stuff that was happening. So there you are. I'll go ahead and leave you to it. That's the novel The Lathe of Heaven. Now, it was made into a movie twice. I actually have the A&E version. It's not very good. Lisa Bonet is a Heather Laloche. She is miscast in that role. She's not very good in that role at all. She is the famous person. James Caan is Dr. Haber, and some relative known as George York. And I did not like it that much at all. I've watched it twice, and I actually own it on DVD, but it's not anywhere near as good. There is a version, it only had 4 worlds in it, which is a much smaller version, and it removed a lot, like all the political stuff, and all the philosophical aspects. It's non-existent. It's not a particularly strong version of the story. It really goes off on its own. The 1980 version for PBS has 6 worlds rather than 4. It also doesn't do a very good job either. I don't think it didn't have the budget for it. And I think the A&E version did have a good, decent budget for it, but it goes off the reservation and miscasts Heather. But anyway, there are a couple of versions if you want to watch it. If you read it, I'll link you to it below so you can read it. Have you read it? Anything else by Ursula K. Le Guin? Love to talk with you about it further if you have. And I'll go ahead and leave you to it. There's that novel for you. If you like this video, please feel encouraged to hit that subscribe button. There's going to be so many more reviews of these science fiction, fantasy, and horror works to follow. I try to come up with classics or big ones, big names that you may, or works that you may have forgotten about as a part of this channel. And finally, I just want to thank you for taking some time out of your day to watch the video. We all have so many things happening in our lives and being pulled in so many different directions. So the fact that you spent this time with me, that's very humbling. And I appreciate that a lot. So thanks again and have a great day.